This is Jonathan Toshnik. The question is, how do I start with little or no capital? So, reality of it is, you're really not going to start in this business with no capital. And so, your options are to get a loan from family or friends. Odds are you're not going to get a loan from the bank. So, family, friends, or put the money on credit cards. Because it's an equipment intensive business, there's just no way realistically that you can magically start without capital. So hopefully you've got some equipment. Hopefully you've already got a mower and weed eaters, and maybe they're basic. Maybe they're even equipment that you'd use at your home. And hopefully you've got a truck that maybe you run around town in for personal use. So I don't know your situation, but hopefully you've got a couple things like that going for you. If you do, that's going to make this quite a bit easier. If you don't, you are going to have to find money somewhere to be able to go buy a cheap, and I mean cheap, truck. You can get it sprayed, you can get it painted quite inexpensively. And so if you buy a really cheap truck, you have some options to at least spruce it up to make it look a little bit better. And then you're going to have to buy some equipment. So if you have no equipment, no truck, you've got to get some money from somewhere. And I'd go buy some inexpensive stuff just to get you started and to keep yourself out of debt, or at least keep yourself with as minimal debt as possible. So I would not go buy anything fancy here. You can upgrade quickly. And so if you have a little bit of money and you've got some of this equipment already, then you can use the little bit of money you've got to do a little bit of marketing. But I would say that if you're completely new to the business, before you should do any marketing, you should at least go knock on some doors and just introduce yourself, or you should at least get out in the field where you've secured a few jobs and you're talking to the clients you have to find out why they like you, why they hired you, what they didn't like about the previous company. Because I've mentioned it many times, before you actually produce any marketing with any chance of pulling in any clients, you really got to learn a little bit about the business. And granted, you can copy everybody else's marketing, but most marketing's not very good, so you want to be careful doing that. So in hopes that you have a little bit of money, a little bit of equipment, you've got an option here to get started. Just buy the equipment that you're missing, and don't buy the fanciest stuff. Buy the entry-level stuff. Just get yourself started. Likewise, if you have virtually no equipment, you're going to have to buy stuff, as I mentioned. And I would, again, buy the least expensive truck you can buy. I'd buy entry-level equipment. If it's only a few $100s more for a mower, then I would buy a nicer mower. But if we're talking $500, $600, $700, get some inexpensive stuff, get started. After a couple months in the business, take the money that you've made and put it back into buying better equipment. Said it many a times, I believe in a used truck and I believe in new equipment. But when you're getting started, sometimes you have to violate the rules. Maybe you can borrow equipment from friends or family, and maybe it's equipment, as I've said, that you normally buy it at Home Depot. It's normally used for personal use, but if it can get you through for a few weeks or a few months. Another idea is that if you're just starting in the business and you're not 100% sure if this is something you want to do, you're not sure how well it's going to work out, you're still getting your feet wet and trying to figure it out, I'd especially consider you to borrow, or especially recommend you borrow this stuff, because you don't want to go make a multi-$1,000 investment and then find out, you really don't like this business. So at the end of the day, borrow the equipment. If that doesn't work, buy inexpensive equipment. As soon as you have the money, reinvest and upgrade. Start out with the cheapest used truck you can find. Hopefully you have your own. Without money, your only options for marketing are knocking on doors and networking and asking friends and family for jobs, going to commercial properties and asking them if they need any help, things of that sort. You're going to have to be creative and aggressive, and it will get easier as you have a little bit more money, and then you can start spending a little bit of money on marketing. But regardless of the industry you're in, regardless of the business you're in, when you're getting started, if you have no capital, you've got to be very creative, very aggressive. You've got to do things that other companies don't do, and there's just no way around it. So I hope that helps you. Best of luck to you in your business, and as soon as you have a little money, you can reinvest and get better stuff. Don't be too caught up in appearances initially. Just get out there and get started.